So you want to learn how to do the front splits? Well, in this video, I'm going to take you through an epic follow along routine. So you're going to join in with me in real time. I'm going to do every set with you. Now, what's different about this routine is that we use active stretching, passive stretching, and end range strength. And this is not just about doing static stretching or passive stretching, which is what a lot of people are teaching with their stretching routines. We're going to do some really cool stuff. You're going to get a sweat going when you do this. You're going to need a little bit of equipment, so make sure you grab the equipment that I'll show you in a sec. And make sure you stick around right to the end, because I promise you that this whole routine, when you do it as a complete routine, this is what's going to give you the best result. One of the main problems that people have when trying to learn the front splits is that they don't understand that stretching should be like a workout. It's not something that you do just if you feel like it or if you've got a little bit of time. It's something that you have to set in your training schedule and say, I'm going to do this on this day and on that day. How many days a week should you do it? I recommend doing this routine twice a week, but you still do mobility training on every day. So mobility training is where you just take your joints through full range of motion, but without any intention of trying to get more flexible. This is a flexibility routine. It's going to be a set of exercises, sets and reps with the intention to get more flexible. So different to mobility and flexibility. All right, let's get into it.
We are the gym that teaches people how to move instead of just exercise, because we believe that health is about performance, not just body image.
To start off with a stretching routine like this, you really need to warm your body up. So the first thing we're going to do is really get our heart rate up a little bit and then do a couple of warm-up exercises, which aren't really, well, they are relevant to the routine, but it's not considered part of the routine. So I like to do horizontal running. Horizontal running is a really good way to get the heart rate up. So we're just going to go on the hands and knees, and I'm really going to pump my legs. The idea is to really get a little bit out of breath, okay? The heart rate up. So I want to keep my shoulders over my hands and get the knees right up to the chest. I like to do 60 seconds of this when I do a warm-up, but just for the sake of this video, I'll probably only do about 40 seconds. So we'll do another 15 seconds. I'm starting to get out of breath, which is good. Okay. Whew. Now I'm going to do a little bit of ostrich walk. So the ostrich walk, we're just going to come down like this, bounce down to touch the ground. Okay. So what I'm doing when I do this, I'm putting the weight over the front leg, so don't let the back leg bend. Straighten the front leg, and if all you can do is that, that's fine, but I'm a bit more flexible, so I can come down to the ground. Okay. And we're just going back and forth like this, bouncing up and down and getting a really good dynamic stretch in the hamstrings. This is a really good way to not only warm the body up, but to really warm up the hamstrings and the posterior chain. And of course, it's very specific for the front splits because I'm doing a really good warm up for the hamstrings, and that's a part of the front split. So now I'll come down onto the ground. Now I'm going to do a long lunge, and I'm just going to, what I'm thinking here is to drop my hips down to the ground. I really want to target the hip flexors here. So if you've got tight hip flexors, this is just amazing, this stretch and this warm up. I'm going to let my hips come forward, and then I'm going to drag my body this way. So I'm pulling my body like that. So it feels like I'm kind of teasing the femur, which is this bone here in the thigh, by sort of pulling it away from the hip joint, from the ball and socket. And then I rotate from side to side, okay? I'm going to change sides. So these first two dynamic warm-up movements, the ostrich walk and this long lunge rotation here, these are very specific to the front splits. So these are really, really good, obviously, for developing front splits. This next one that I'm going to do isn't specific for front splits. This is just for general hip mobility, but it's a really good warm-up. So we go down to a Cossack squat. If you have to have your feet on the ground like that, that's fine. and then rotate towards the front foot, okay? And then come back and rotate around, okay? Because what this does is it develops this beautiful flexibility in all the ranges that we need it in, because it's taking us, we don't just want, you know, a static flexibility in the front splits. We want to be able to move through, you know, different movements with our hips, okay? So that's what I'm doing here. So this leg's straight, we're reaching towards that front foot and then opening up a little bit and now coming down into a hamstring stretch. Okay, then I'm coming back, keeping this leg straight, rotating around and then reaching up, and now I'm getting a stretch right down my anterior chain and really a lot in the hip flexors here. Again, for the front splits. We'll do one more over here. Okay. And then back. Like this. Okay. Nice. And then this one definitely isn't specific for the front splits at all, but it is a good one. Swivel hips, if we just rotate the hips. So I like to push the inside leg first and then let the outside leg rotate, okay? And we're just warming up the hip joint, just taking it through a general little bit of a range of motion, okay? And now we can get into the actual routine. So. Hey everyone, in case we haven't met, my name is Rad Burmeister. I'm one of the co-founders of Unity Gym and co-creators of the UMS, the Unified Movement System, where we turn driven people into superhumans. And the way we get such astonishing results with our members is that we've created a program that has a perfect balance between strength and flexibility. If you want to know how we do that, grab one of the blueprint downloads. It's a free download. We've got the strength blueprint, the flexibility blueprint, and the nutrition blueprint. There's a link in the description of this video for all of them. And also join the UMS Movement Mastermind, which is a private Facebook group where we go live every day for Q&As and provide a higher level of coaching. And if you like this video, of course, consider subscribing to the channel. So what we're going to do, we're going to jump into this follow along routine now, and I'm going to take you through this in real time. I'm totally cold myself, so I have to go through this whole workout, and we're going to do it just like it was done as a proper workout. I'm going to do 3 sets of everything, but you could actually do up to 5 sets if you wanted to. We're going to do 2 stretches for the hip flexors, 2 stretches for the hamstrings. We're actually going to do a stretch and also an end range strength exercise for each one, active stretching and end range strength. And then we're going to do the active front splits and passive front splits. So we're going to basically get into the hip flexors first, warm up the hip flexors, then we're going to warm up the hamstrings, and then we're going to transfer that over into the front splits. And for this routine, you're going to need a box, something like this. We're going to be doing a Jefferson curl. I'm going to use a barbell for my Jefferson curl, like this one here. You can use a kettlebell, any kind of weight that you want. I weigh 85 kilos. I think that's about 170, 180 pounds. And I'm using a 20 kilo or a 44 pound weight. I don't like to go too much more than 25 kilos or about 55, 56 pounds. And we're also going to need one of these bands here, and also something that you can hold on to help you know, your body weight come back. You could use that band and just hook it around something. That's totally fine. But I've got a gymnastics ring here, so I can do that. So let's get into the routine. First exercise we're going to do is called the active hero. So we're going to start with a more gentle stretch for the hip flexors, which is, it's actually more of a quadricep stretch, but the rectus femoris is part of the hip flexors. So that's the big muscle in the quadricep. It's the only part of the quadricep that crosses the knee and also crosses the hip joint as well. And if you want to get flexible hips, then it's very important that you stretch the quadriceps as far as they can go. That you have to consider the quadriceps as being part of the muscles that are going to help with the front splits. So what I'm going to do is just grab onto something that I can hold on to. I could have that band and put it around here. That'd be perfect, but I've got my gymnastics ring set up, so I'll use that. And what I'm going to do is push my hips forward and keep my chest down. And I'm just going to come down as low as I can comfortably go and then back. Okay, and you'll see as these sets, as I do my 3 sets, I'm going to get a lot deeper in my range of motion. So we're going to do 8 reps. So I've come down, I think that's 5. We'll call it 5. 6, 7, one more, 8. Awesome. Okay, so that's the first set. So what you want to think of when you do this is you really want to think of doing a posterior pelvic tilt, which means that the top of the pelvis rocks towards the back. So that's called a posterior pelvic tilt. You want to keep the rib cage down. And what that does is those 2 cues really make sure that the rectus femoris and the hip flexors are getting stretched out as you go down. Okay? So from here, we'll go again for round 2. So hips forward, keep the feet wide enough that your hips can fit between there. And of course, I'm only using the object, the gymnastics ring, just enough to help me to get back up. I'm actually strong enough to do this without using the rings at all, but you get a better stretch if you don't have to rely 100% on your raw strength. I think that's 4, 5, 6, you can see I'm getting deeper already. Keeping that rib cage down. 7, hips forward, rib cage down. 8, and I actually just thought of this. I'm going to do a bonus stretch for the hip flexors where we'll use a foam roller. Something that I just thought of is really helpful in this routine. So that's 2 sets now. How long do you wait between sets? You don't have to wait any specific amount of time. I'm probably just going to give myself about 30 seconds. Just enough time to recover a little bit. You can see I'm working up a sweat here. That's really good. That's what you want. If you do proper mobility, proper flexibility, and it's not too cold at least, then you'll definitely get warm. Your body will warm up as the workout goes on. So let's get this 3rd set done. Okay, so hips forward, or rather posterior pelvic tilt, rib cage down. So we're really getting into those hip flexors now. Now, of course, this is a quadricep stretch primarily, so I really feel it in my quads, but I also feel it in the hip flexors because the rectus femoris is the one that I'm feeling in my hip flexors. So that's 4, 5, 6. So this is an active stretch because the muscles are loaded as I go down. 7, it's not a passive stretch. But now what we're going to do, 8, is go down into a passive stretch where we just lay down. Now this, because I've got an anterior pelvic tilt, you can see my knees are coming up off the ground a little bit here. And that is one of the downsides of having an APT, an anterior pelvic tilt. Because what happens is when your hip pelvis is tilted forward naturally, the hip flexors become really tight. So then when you try and go into full range of motion, it's very, very hard to do. So to get the front splits has been a real journey for me. I've had to do a lot of work to be able to get there. But it's worthwhile, of course. So now we're going to move into the extension lifts with focus point. And this is the first time I'm going to need this box. I'm going to turn it over onto the 14-inch height. And what we're going to do here, I'm going to get myself into a lunge position. So from here, I'm going to sit next to the box. Now I'm going to tuck my pelvis forward. So again, I'm going to do that posterior pelvic tilt. My back leg, the toe, the little toe and the big toe are going to be touching the ground. That's really, really important. Little toe and big toe touching the ground. Pelvis forward, okay? And now I'm going to lean into it a little bit so that I already feel the stretch in the hip flexors. Now, The extension lift refers to hip extension. So hip extension is trying to push my thigh back that way. That's hip extension. Focus point is holding on here with my hand. So the idea is, now that I've got my posterior pelvic tilt, my body's up, my hips are facing forward, my toes are on the ground, and now I've leaned forward and I can feel the stretch in my hip flexors. I don't want to lose any of that. I want all of that to stay the same, and that's what the focus point's there for. So I'm going to do 6 reps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we'll hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Woo! That is full on. You can really get a good burn in that hip flexor there. So now I'm going to change sides. Okay, so little toe and big toe on the ground, posterior pelvic tilt, hips facing forward, lean into it so that I feel the stretch in the hip flexor on the back leg. And then from here, 1, 2, trying to move my body as little as possible, 3, 4, and I'm just driving my heel back, 5, 6, hold it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Nice. Woo! All right, 1 set done. So because you go from left side to right side with this, you don't really need to do a big rest between sets. The way that we actually do our unified movement system at Unity Gym, when we train, we do 1 set of strength training and 1 set of flexibility training. So we do a 1-to-1 ratio. We don't do mobility only workouts or strength only workouts. But I understand that, you know, what you're searching for on YouTube is usually to fix a specific problem. So that's why we do these videos, to help people out so that they can, you know, find a solution to the problem that they're trying to fix. But we find that to get the best results, you do a 1-to-1 strength and flexibility ratio. Makes the most use of time. Okay, posterior pelvic tilt, little toe and big toe on the ground, hips facing forward, lean into it, feel the stretch in my hip flexors. 1, 2, so you can see I shuffled my foot forward there. 3, because it wasn't far enough apart, I wasn't feeling enough of a stretch. 4, 5, 6, hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Woo! That's full on, that one. Okay, let's change. Little toe and big toe on the ground on the back foot, big step, posterior pelvic tilt, lean into it so that I feel the stretch in my hip flexors on the back leg. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, now hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Woo! All right, so you should be able to really start to feel now that your hip flexors are really starting to warm up. Okay, I've got a sweat going on here, a little bit out of breath, puffing a little bit. That's a good thing to be doing during a stretching session. That's what you want. This is one of the problems that I think a lot of people don't understand with stretching is it's not this like Zen relaxed moment. Like, look at these exercises that we're doing here. This is tiring, yeah? I'm out of breath, I'm sweating, I can feel my muscles working. And this is the difference between, you know, passive stretching and active stretching and loaded stretching, end range strength, things like that. And we're going to do some passive stretching at the end. We are, but we finish with that. We don't want to start with it. We're going to get the muscles working. Okay, so here we go, last set. Hips into a posterior pelvic tilt, pelvis facing forward, Okay, lean into it, and here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, hold it. 1, oh sorry, I'm gonna do 6, I forgot, and hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Woo! Okay, let's change. Here we go. Little toe and big toe on the ground, posterior pelvic tilt. Lean hips forward like this, okay? Push the knee forward. So all of that now, I can feel the stretch in my hip flexor. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Woo! All right, nice work. Okay, those are our 2 hip flexor stretches done. Of course, we're still gonna do the front splits, and that's massive on the hip flexors, but at least for the specific targeted hip flexor exercises, that's it. So now we're gonna move on to the hamstrings. And we wanna grab one of these bands. You can use a towel if you don't have a band. I like to use a band. And we're going to do this assisted hamstring stretch or end range strength exercise. So the idea here is that I'm going to pull my leg on its own accord. I'm going to be pulling it as hard as I can this way. And when I can't go any further, I'm going to pull it a little bit with the band to create a greater range of motion. I'm going to do that for 5 seconds, and then I'm going to bend the leg and relax it for 5 seconds. And when I bend the leg, I relax this leg, but I pull with my arms to get a good stretch into the top part of the hamstring that only crosses the glute. So from here, I'll actually start from here. So we want to grab real close, okay? And now I'm going to pull down for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I straighten my leg, and on its own accord, I pull it back, and then I use the band to get a little bit more. 3, 4, 5. Now bend. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the 3rd rep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4th rep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and last rep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. We'll change legs, and then I'll talk a little bit more about this during the rest period. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nice. Okay. So you can see that was not easy for me. I was, you could hear it in my voice. Woo, and I've got a little bit of a sweat going. The one thing that I really want you to understand is when we do this 2nd and 3rd set, when you straighten your leg, you're actively tensing your quad and using your hip flexors to try and pull your leg back as far as you can. The band is only pulling a little bit to help you get that last little bit. But this is creating end range strength. It's not just about flexibility in the hamstrings. It's also about creating strength in the hip flexors, because we want to own our range of motion. We don't want our range of motion to be something that can only be achieved passively. We want to be able to achieve it actively. And that's what end range strength is for. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nice. Okay. Change legs. Do the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and last one. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Woo! All right, one more round to go of this. Okay, so we're getting there. You should be able to feel now like your body is definitely starting to warm up. Again, this is one of the problems that people face when they do flexibility training, is they don't do enough of it. They don't do enough volume. People just do a couple of stretches and it feels uncomfortable for them and they think, oh, that's enough, I'm gonna stop there. You know, stretching needs to be treated like a workout. It shouldn't be something that you just do if you feel like you've got some time. You have to really treat stretching as its own workout. So you either do a workout like what I'm doing here, or you do it like what we do in our training, which is we do a 1-to-1 ratio. So we do a set of strength training, then a set of flexibility. So it's the same workout. But either way, if you treat stretching as something that you do if you've got a little bit of time to do it, you'll never get flexible. It's got to be prioritized. Okay, last set. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Last one. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Woo! All right. Here we go. Now we're on to the last side. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Woo. Okay. Now we're onto the Jefferson curl, and I'm just going to readjust the camera for this one. So I have to stand up on my box here. Okay. And get the weight. So you can either use a kettlebell, or you can even use dumbbells or a barbell. Okay, here we go. So start with your feet about shoulder width apart. Tuck your chin in to your chest, and then we're going to roll down really slowly. Try and get as much movement in the spine as possible. And then at the bottom, we want to tense the quads and try to compress ourselves in, and then come back up. So at the bottom, I'll explain it in a minute. 2, just make sure your knees are really straight. 3, 4, 1 more, 5. And now we're going to tense our quads, suck our stomach in, 10 deep breaths. Nice, okay, so when we're doing those, you want to think, when you do the 10 breaths at the end, you want to be tensing your quads, so you're pushing your knee back like that, but you're also drawing your stomach in and tensing your hip flexors so that you're trying to compress yourself. You're trying to suck your chest closer to your knees, to your shins, so that again, you're creating that active range. So the weight is helping you. That's why I said specifically not to use too heavy a weight. You don't want something that's too heavy. You want something that you can still control. And also if it's too heavy, your nervous system will freak out and you're gonna start tensing opposing muscles to try and save yourself, and you don't want that happening. So then the other thing is, of course, we wanna really go from the chin and then roll down, okay? So chin, neck, upper back, mid back, lower back, and then pelvis is the last thing. If you've got a bulging disc or any lower back problems, I don't say don't do this, but just do it with lighter weight or no weight. You know, you can do it with no weight at all if you've got problems in your lower back, and you just do exactly the same thing, but you just practice coming down and then compressing under your own control, okay? Let's go for round number 2. So I like to stand with my feet about shoulder width apart or hip width apart. I find I get better balance. I know some people teach the Jefferson curl with the feet together. I don't like it. All right, let's go for the second round. So knees straight, hips shoulder width apart, chin to chest, roll the shoulders forward, and then coming down slowly to really try and feel like I'm using each vertebra in the spine. Let the weight pull you down at the bottom and back up. Chin, shoulders, coming down, and then back up. Chin, shoulders, all the way down. Actually lost count, but I'm pretty sure that's 3, 4, And one more. 5. Okay, tense the quads. 10 breaths. Nice. Woo. All right. 2 down, 1 to go. So the Jefferson curl, people use it a lot for the lower back or the back in general, but it's really, really good for the whole posterior chain. So the glutes, hamstrings, calves, and the whole back, okay? So I really like to use it for front splits training. I find that Jefferson curl twice a week is a really good dose for mobility, and it helps with so many different things. It's not just the front splits, so that's why I like to use it in my front splits training. Okay, let's do the last set. And then we're on to the actual front splits. Here we go. 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. Okay, hold it, 10 breaths, tense the quads. So I definitely got more range of motion towards the end there, which is what we want. Oh, so I can feel my lower back's really warmed up, my hamstrings are warmed up, hip flexors are warmed up, and now I'm ready for the front splits. So for this first one, we're going to be doing the active front splits, and I like to wear shoes for this. I wouldn't be a mover if I didn't have Fayus, would I? So I'll put my Fayus on. These are the favorite shoes of the movement community, probably made famous by Ido Portal and all of his students. A guy that's done wonderful things for the world of movement. Okay. So the reason why I do this, like to do this is because you'll see when we do the active front splits, a lot of pressure on the toes on the ground, and you can tear the skin on the bottom of your feet. So it's good to have something to hold on to for this. The active front splits is pretty full on. It's not to take my body weight. What it's there to do is to balance, okay? Now, if I'm holding on with my right hand, I actually like to have my right leg forward, and is that what I do? I'm gonna think about this. Yeah, let's try the other way, left leg forward. And the reason why is I want to think of the way that makes it easier for me to keep my hips facing forward. And when you do the passive front splits, you can let your hips twist a little bit, but in the active front splits, you really want to keep your hips facing forward. So you won't get as deep, but you'll get a really wicked stretch. So what we're going to do, we want the front leg, the toes pulled up, and the knee straight. The back leg, you're on the toes, and the back knee is straight. So on the front leg, you're trying to straighten the knee and pull the toes back. On the back leg, you're trying to straighten the leg and push your heel down. And the whole time, we're trying to sit upright like this to get a better stretch in the hip flexor. And we can actually rock back and forward when we do it, but we're gonna start that way. So we're gonna have the pole a bit in front of you, okay? Come down, and okay, for me, now we're gonna hold it for 30 seconds. So the idea is that you're using your muscles to actively hold yourself up. Now for me, this is all hip flexor because of my anterior pelvic tilt. I'm not getting anything in my hamstring, but that's fine. I can lean forward if I want to, like this, and bring it into the hamstring. But I want to just sit like this, and I'm trying to sit as straight as I can. There's people that'll have better, okay, relax. There's people that don't suffer an anterior pelvic tilt, which is like this. People that have a nice straight posture, that'll be able to do this way better than me. They won't get the restrictions from the hip flexor. It's totally fine. We've got to work with what we've got, but I've made massive improvements since I've been stretching. My anterior pelvic tilt was bad years ago. It's gotten a lot better. Okay, so I come down, hips up, hold for 30 seconds. You can do this for up to 60 seconds, for sure. In fact, it's even really good to do it for 60 seconds, but because this is a beginner routine, I'm just gonna do it for 30 seconds for you guys today. Okay, halfway. And you'll see, as always, we're gonna get a bit lower with each one. I wanna make a point though of showing you that when I do this, my goal is not to go as low as I can when I do the active front splits. My goal is to do the best effort that I can do with the correct cues. And the correct cues are, number one, hips facing forward. Number two, knees as straight as I can get them. So my back leg might not look like it's as straight as it could be, but I'm trying to straighten it. Number three, sit upright. So create the posterior pelvic tilt. Let's go for round number two. Okay. All right, here we go. Okay, that's halfway. I'm starting to get a cramp in my quads. Did a wicked leg workout this morning, so I'm definitely feeling it. Whew. All right, okay, let's change. Do the other side. Okay. So I'm really keeping the hips facing forward. Trying to lean back, trying to get my knees straight, feeling it in those hip flexors for me. You'll feel it either more in the hamstring or more in the hip flexors. It's totally fine. It's wherever you're the tightest that you're going to feel it. And believe it or not, as much as I'm talking whilst I do this, all right, rest. Whew. It's very challenging for me. I can feel, for me, these hip flexors and quads are really on fire. Okay, so we'll just rest for 30 seconds. Got a good sweat going, everything's happening really nicely. Okay, we're ready for this last set. Is the camera at the good angle? Doesn't need to be angled down. We're trying a couple of new things today with using some different angles. I hope you appreciate the new videography. Okay, here we go, team. Give us a thumbs up or a comment. Let us know if you like the videography that we're using here, because we're trying something different using two cameras like this. It's the first time we've done this with one of our videos. Okay. And also, this is follow along style. We haven't done these follow along style tutorial videos before. Let us know what you think, if you like it better than the stuff we normally do. Okay, here we go. I've got one side that's always a bit better than the other, and this is the bad side. So my hip flexors are really tight on this side. It's okay. It's all part of the journey. Okay, that's it. And last one. Then we're going to get into the passive front splits. Okay, here we go. You'll really see this is like, these exercises are setting you up for a good front split. So this whole workout has been to train the muscles individually and prepare you for the front splits. And you'll see in a minute when you go into it. All right, we've got one more thing we're gonna do. I promised you we'd do this. And for this one, you need either a foam roller or a yoga block is good. Yoga blocks are the way this is normally taught, but I've got a foam roller here, so that's totally fine. What I'm going to do is lay down, and I'm going to put this right where my pelvis is. So it's not on my lower back, it's not on my bum, it's just above my bum, but it's still on my pelvis. And I'm going to bring my feet together, and then I'm going to rest my arms above my head, okay? And I'm going to completely relax now. And what this is doing, this is a very gentle, completely passive hip flexor stretch. And this is a really good time to do this because you've just done all this really active stuff, and the central nervous system can sometimes, like your muscles, everything's been worked now, so you are warmed up, you're ready to do your front splits, but sometimes the central nervous system can be fighting you a little bit on everything you've been doing. So I find doing a nice passive stretch like this first is really beneficial. And again, because I've got an anterior pelvic tilt, I've actually, if anybody knows what it is, I've got something called spondylolisthesis in my lower back. It means that one of the vertebrae is put out permanently from an accident where I fractured my spine, and that causes the anterior pelvic tilt. I had a lot of problems in my youth. I was walking with a walking stick for a while when I was younger. It was so bad, the pain in my body. All right. But through exercise, through strengthening, stretching, all this stuff, I've been able to have a pretty good result and be able to do, what I love to do. Okay, now we're into the front splits. So the way that you do this, of course, there's the level that you can do it at. If you can't do it as well as I can, you just do your best. I do recommend having something to hold on to like this, something next to you, a chair, a box, anything that you can just hold on to. Even one on each side is good, okay? And what you do is, if this is the best you can do, then this is where you hold it. But now the back foot is going to be on the top of the foot like this, and the front foot is going to be on the heel. And we just work that front foot out and come down into the front splits. Okay, and we're just going to hold it for 30 seconds, okay? The longer you spend the time in the splits, the better it's going to be for you. So if you can do a minute per round, that's good. If you can do 2 minutes per round, that's even better. But I'm going to talk to you about the difference between training to pain and training to discomfort in a sec. So we'll do another 8 seconds. So this is uncomfortable for me, but it's not painful. And I'll talk about in a minute what the difference is. So that was my not so good side. Let's see how the good side goes. Yeah, good side's always easier to get down. It's just how it is. I've had some injuries in my hips. I was in the army for 4 years as an infantry soldier. I fractured my spine and did a couple of nasty things. So, we've all got these things going on in our bodies that get us moving a certain way and prevent us from doing other things, but that's totally fine. We've just got to work with what we've got. You don't want to be one of those people that's, creates this injury identity for yourself where all you talk about is what you can't do. So while we rest now, I want to talk about the difference of stretching to pain and stretching to discomfort. So the whole idea of stretching is that you delay the nervous system's reaction to the stretch. And what the central nervous system does is when it senses that your body is going to a range of motion that could be dangerous, that could cause a muscle tear, it tightens the muscle as a response to prevent you from going further. So stretching is about delaying when that response happens. So it happens at a later stage through the joint's movement. It's not about making the muscles more elastic. The muscles are very elastic. It's about delaying the nervous system's inhibitors. When you stretch to discomfort, you teach the nervous system over time that this is okay, and it will gradually delay when that response kicks in. If you stretch to the point of pain and do micro tears in the muscles, you tell the nervous system that its fears were founded and it's going to kick in earlier, and it stifles that whole process. So it's really, really important that you only go to the point of discomfort and not to the point of pain. How do you know? Practice. Practice is the only way. I've had people explain to me, this is the point of pain and this is the point of discomfort, but unfortunately, the only way I was able to discover it was when I went to the point of pain, and then the next day I couldn't stretch as much because I'd done a minor tear, and then you have to say, whoops, I've torn that muscle a little bit, I better back it off, and you have to rest and recover for a couple of weeks, and then you go at it again. But you learn a bit, and the next time you do it a little bit better. Okay, 5 more seconds. Okay, good stuff. All right, let's change. Let's keep going. I'm going to do 30 seconds again. So remember, you could push this out to doing it for 60 seconds on each side would be really, really good. But take note here, out of everything that I've done in this workout, I'm not really struggling here, am I? This is not a painful experience for me. I could go further than this, but I would be stretching to that point of pain, and that is not what I want to do. Now we'll stop there. You can easily do one more set yourself. You can do 5 sets once you get to the end here. You can do 5 sets of the passive splits to really get it going. But that's it, well done. Thanks for joining in. If you like this video, please subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you get notified of when we post live videos. We do these every week. And definitely come over and join our private Facebook group, the UMS Movement Mastermind. There's a link for it in the description of this video. And that's where we go live daily to do Q&As and to answer our tribe's questions, so we can support people much better in Facebook, because people can post videos of themselves and we can critique it. And we're very, very active there, so that's a really good resource for you. And of course, if you like the video, share it with your friends, and I will see you next time. Hey, thanks for watching that video. If you liked it, consider subscribing to our channel and make sure you click the notification bell so you know when our weekly videos are uploaded. Now, the best thing for you to do if you want to stay connected with us and get free online coaching is to join our private Facebook group. It's called the UMS Movement Mastermind, and we go live daily where we answer our members' questions. It's very interactive because you can post questions while we're live and we interact with you on the show. You can also upload videos or pictures of yourself with any movements, any stretches, strength training movements, calisthenics, weightlifting, anything that you're struggling with, and we'll critique you, give you feedback, let you know how you can get better. It's a really valuable resource. It allows a lot of communication with us and also our senior tribe members. You'll get answers very, very quickly, and it's absolutely free. So jump on Facebook, search for UMS Movement Mastermind and join now. Until next time, have a great day.